Some unkind effects may include an absolutely badass show. Yeah. So yeah, besides that being something that I had to do for fun, this is insane. Definitely with some of the visuals when they're doing the stuff is so interesting. And when they bring up the idea of, because there are some things I want to talk about that I love, but when they bring up the idea of like, oh, like this thing that can fully heal, is really interesting. I think it's based off like, there's like this thing that people believe in, this sort of like theory. I don't actually care much about it, but it's the idea that like, oh, that's what like the drug company would want you to say. They want you to be like, oh, there's no way to be healthy, etc., etc. Like they want you to be unhealthy, and to a certain extent, there are some things I don't like. I have said that even in a couple other like shorts with plaguing, etc., etc., that the price of insulin should be like way down, because to make it is a lot, isn't a lot. I think it's like 23 cents, and then to buy it is one of the most expensive material, and it's like, oh. But I don't think it's like, oh, I'm trying to make you unhealthy. Evil laugh. But the one thing I love, the one thing I do think is an interesting idea, which is, even though there's some things I feel like should be less priced or easier to get, the idea of this existing kind of throws certain things out of the water, which I do believe there are some things that like maybe should get rid of, but you have to take the idea of like, let's say theoretically we could be able to mass produce this in a way that we can give this to anyone with any injuries. Okay, what do we have as a result? Okay, most likely cancer gone. It's no longer a thing because you can give it to this and it'll be fine. Or it gets worse because cancer is just a mutation. So I don't know if that will help or not. It shows it helps, so, but it doesn't also help aging, which is also, if you know the science, and I'm not 100%, so if there's any doctors who can say it better, please do. There's certain things where it's like, they have aging is where the telomeres, which is the end points on like the chromosomes, wear down. I'm not 100% sure on that sort of aging, sort of like your DNA wearing down. So maybe it doesn't heal it because it technically isn't fully an injury, it's just the DNA is being lost. If that's the case, does that mean when you're a kid and you slowly take it from a kid, you just don't age? Because it's a certain thing where it's aging or not. But that's getting into a thing of things where it's like, I am just out thinking this and this doesn't even talk anything about it. So let's forget about that. That's confusing. But I don't know what would happen to cancer. It shows it heals it, so let's take that. Cancer's gone. Most diseases and pandemics will never be a thing. You have these, that's fairly simple. Most injuries you won't need, so you won't have any sick days, holidays, but the baby bath there so that you can heal from the injuries, and this will get rid of that. Most scams for injuries won't, because there's a thing where like you can tell that like some people do injuries so they can get some time off or something like that, or like insurance. Maybe that part will be there so if they can buy it. I don't know, but stuff like smoking, alcohol, and drug uses in other respects might go up. Because why worry about what stuff like cocaine could do if this could just wipe the slate clean? Which I actually like, that the person who says that later says, oh, I do this and it harms me and I don't care. Later, when he's dying and it's like, oh, I think it's cancer that he has. It's like, oh, you have this. And it's like, oh, I shouldn't take this because it gets rid of cost. He goes back and takes it because he's a hypocrite. But I like the idea that he stated where a lot of people will do more risky things. It is an interesting idea because, again, why would I care about what drugs would do? Because on the short term, yeah, it will make me sort of feel a little bit better, because that's what it does in the short term. But long-term side effects, this can get rid of, which is an interesting dilemma. I don't know if they're going to talk about it more, because that'll be interesting, and I would love a second season of this. And I would think people wouldn't care about, there might be companies lowering down on safety. Besides on, like, consumer, they're not going to be, like, if there's, like, stuff like theme parks and the consumers are going to get injured, then they're not going to care. But they might try and overwork their employees, because, let's say, that the effects from, like, tiredness could go away because of stuff like this. Which I don't know, they bring up, and I don't know if they're going to talk more about it as an interesting idea. Because that idea, I love. They don't talk about it too much besides that one conversation, but I do love it. Because overall, you would think stuff like this would be useful, but people can probably take advantage of it in other ways. I don't know if they take advantage of the work thing, if they never bring that up, and I would be interested if they could do that, if it sort of, like, means that, like, oh, we don't need to, like, have a 12-hour weekday because we can do this. I don't know. That would be interesting if the show goes that way or not. But I just like that debate about if this became a thing, would people be more risk prone? Which I love as a theoretical idea. It's one of the things. I also like the idea, which is another split up, but it's for logical reasons. Because when these two, going back a bit, meet up, find this, she starts making it in a lab with the company. And he goes to jail. And it's like, these two split up because, oh, you're just doing this to gain. So, like, some, like, noticeability. Which, fair. Fully fair. But it is to the point that is... it is to the point that is an actual good reason why. And I'm going to stop because I don't have anything I said. But I just like... that, because a lot of people for that split, yeah, but this one makes sense why. So yeah, this was a long one. But yeah, it was mostly talking about the theory idea that I had, and thinking it would come back, because I feel like this will come back. This is fun, this is cool, this is just overall amazing, and I do think this is one of the shows that I think should have another season. I would love it to have another season, but it definitely is really interesting, and you should definitely watch it. So I hope you enjoy, and good night.